Aloha and welcome to Island Connections. I'm Ibrahim Aoude. Students talk ethnic studies. And by ethnic studies, we mean the field, the discipline, but also the department at the University of Hawai'i, Mānoa, and the College of Social Sciences. We have three guests with us. I start with Jasmine Fernandez, Brent Yamada, and Chris Mendoza. So welcome to you all. And we want to talk ethnic studies. Okay. All right. Yeah. So, but before that, tell us something about yourself and about your undergraduate education and how you came about to ethnic studies. You want to start, Jasmine?
Okay. I'm a sophomore at Mānoa, and I'm majoring in nursing and ethnic studies. And I am a board member of the Ethnic Studies Student Association.
All right. We're going to talk about Students Association in a minute, but we can go to Brent. So, what's up, Brent?
I don't know. Nah. Well, I actually am a communications major, but I actually accidentally stumbled into ethnic studies. Mm-hmm. I was a TA last semester for Ethnic Studies 330, and I accidentally signed up for the wrong class, and it was Professor Rod's class. And I walked in 3 weeks into the semester and to drop it. Right. And everybody was like, join his class, and I joined it, and then it kind of changed my life in a way. So.
All right, great. We'll talk about life-changing experiences.
All right.
So, Chris?
Well, I'm a senior here at UH, and I was actually a biology major, pre-dentistry, before stumbling upon some of the ethnic studies courses, just as fillers, really, to get credit and some requirements. But it was different, and it allowed me to think a lot more in these ethnic studies classes, and so I decided to change my major, and I'm now an ethnic studies major, and I'm proud of it.
Yeah, great, yeah, and you're going to be graduating soon.
Yes, very soon.
Like how soon is soon?
Like in May.
In May, okay, great, yeah. So anyway, here we have three of you. Didn't know much or anything about ethnic studies, and you just like kind of stumbled into ethnic studies. What does that say to you? I mean, should everyone else stumble into ethnic studies, or should there be something happening at the UH perhaps to have more people take ethnic studies courses maybe, or so what are your ideas about that, Chris?
Well, what I think is that students should definitely take a few ethnic studies courses, because I mean it changed my life, just because you look at many different problems and stuff in the world globally, and not just here in Hawaii, being that it is culturally diverse, but you learn more, but at the same time it allows you to keep an open mind and have your own thoughts and expand on your own thoughts. Like you can be yourself in ethnic studies.
Yeah. And Brent, you want to add something to that, or from your own particular life-changing experience?
Life-changing experience, yeah. I mean, I just stumbled into ethnic studies, really, and it really got kind of a hold of me. Like I like to learn about different things and different cultures, and all these things that are happening, and it's just interesting. I really like it, and the thing that we're doing is just making me want to change my major one day. I don't know, but I'm really into it. It's a fun thing. Yeah. I like ethnic studies.
Yeah. Are you in a certificate program, or?
No, I'm definitely thinking about it. I've been talking to Rod about that.
Right.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna end up doing that somehow.
Okay, great. Yeah. And Jasmine?
Well, like Chris, I started in the medical field. I wanted to go into nursing, and then after taking an ethnic studies course my first semester, it got me. So then I became a teacher's assistant, and this semester I'm also a teacher's assistant again. So it's different.
Yeah. Could you tell us something about your experience as a teacher assistant, and what does that mean? Because, for people to better understand how we in ethnic studies teach our courses, at least the big courses. Yeah.
Well, being a teacher's assistant, you really have to, it feels like you're re-educating people about not only like history, but about different social connections between cultural groups, because people come in with a certain notion of knowing American history or even globally. And when they come into ethnic studies, it's kind of a shocker for them to learn, to relearn these types of facts.
Yeah.
So teaching that is actually a really good experience.
Yeah, could you say also something about, you know, you were in nursing too. So how would ethnic studies fit into the nursing profession? I mean,
I'm still trying to figure that one out.
Uh-huh.
What I plan on doing is becoming a traveling nurse when I graduate. So hopefully I can utilize my ethnic studies degree with my nursing degree.
yeah. And Chris, what you gonna do after you graduate? Like,
Well, I actually spoke to Professor Labrador about that, and he was telling me about applying to grad school, at least as an unclassified grad student, and working at the school as well, and then going from there. But he probably wants me to stay in ethnic studies, which I probably will do. But yeah, I'm working on that right now, so I'm planning on going to grad school.
yeah.
And
So, like, what kind of courses you said that you are TAing or lab leading for 330?
Yeah,
Japanese
yeah.
course, yeah.
Chris and I are TAs.
Yeah. So, what does it take for someone to become like a lab leader or TA in 330?
You kind of gotta like to hear yourself talk, maybe. No, well, I mean, well, kind of. I mean, you're kind of re-educating students about what they're learning in the lab, and you know, it's, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's yeah.
Yeah. So, Chris.
well, because we TA for that same class, so it's kind of fun and cool that the teachers trust you one day out of the week to kind of reiterate what they just went over the past 2 days in the week, and you're entrusted with the students and what they're learning, because when you break the bigger class up into the labs, like, they have specific questions that you got to be able to answer, and to be a TA, you actually have to have taken the class already and gotten an A.
Yeah, scored
So,
high.
Yes.
Very high.
And the teacher had to
Yes.
like you. But it's been good.
Yeah. One of the things I was thinking about is, you know, the process of being selected to become a lab leader. Could you speak to that, anyone?
I could.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because the lab leaders that are leaving, that are graduating or just aren't going to do it the following semester, they actually advertise it kind of in their labs, and sometimes they would go up to specific people that they think would make good lab leaders and like kind of influence them a little bit, and then you would have to apply just like any other job, fill out an application, attend an interview, which is pretty intense because it's unlike any other interview you do, because you have the professor and then all the other lab leaders that are coming back, and each of them ask a question, and it's all on the spot. It's just very shotgun.
Yeah, that's good, because that develops like, you know, confidence, gives you confidence in your own identity, who you are as a person.
Yes.
And also gives you foundation and develops your leadership abilities, and also you would learn the course even more. Yeah?
Yes.
Even better, right? Yeah. So that's something that, from my experiences in terms of having lab leaders earlier on, that it is important to develop those kinds of skills and characteristics in people and young students. Jasmine, I wanted to go into show our audience, our viewers, the website. You know, so we have the website, It'll be soon on. So this is our website,
Yes.
and it's like www.ethnicstudies.hawaii.edu. And if you hit that, you get to the Ethnic Studies department. And we are in the College of Social Sciences. And I just want to go into the academic program. But first of all, we have the faculty academic program, information, news, links, how to contact us, and so forth. So let's go to the academic program, since we're talking about the academic program.
Okay.
And we'll could home in on your courses, or some of the courses you have taken, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Yeah.
Okay.
So, okay, this is the bachelor's degree. Let's start with this one, okay?
Okay.
And we hit that, and we go like this. Okay, so that's the bachelor's degree, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, which courses have you taken from these ones? Can you see it?
Yes, we
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
Well, of course, I took Ethnic Studies 101, and
Right.
I've been a TA for that course 2 times.
Uh-huh.
And I took, I'm not sure which number it is up there, but
What is it?
immigration to Hawaii
yeah,
and the United
360,
States.
yeah.
Yes.
360
And
here, yeah.
currently I'm in Ethnic Studies 373 with Professor Labrador. So it looks at Filipino Americans in hip hop.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yeah, so hip hop.
Yes.
Okay, so could you say something about that?
About that class?
Yeah?
Well, Filipino Americans in the continental U.S. have used hip hop as a medium in order to create social change within their community and educate others about their struggles. So recently we had concerts, it was just this past weekend, where we had Filipino American MCs come to Hawaii and perform, also conduct lectures at UH. So-
Great. So can we teach about things in Hawaii and social struggles in Hawaii using hip hop, for instance? Anyone? Ben?
Yeah, you probably could.
Mhm.
There's I think there's a bunch of local hip hop artists that are kind of into that kind of thing, but it's just it's just not really out there. You have to like go and
Yeah,
find it.
right,
you know?
right, yeah. So hip hop then has a place in the academy, right, Chris?
Yes.
Yeah. In what way? I mean, Jasmine talked about like reaching out to the community, etc. But any more on that?
Well,
perhaps?
when it comes to hip hop, like when you think of hip hop, you think of the MC, and the MC usually, his voice is the one that's being spread out. And when an MC writes something down, it's usually from a journal, which is usually due to struggles or like anything that the community has been through. They can use hip hop as a way to get that message out. And if anybody knows hip hop, like hip hop could be something that's really good, just because the younger generation kind of tends to steer towards that way, just because they can relate to it more, and it's just more relatable, just in that sense. So.
Yeah, any kind of method or medium by which you can like develop more knowledge and find out more about any particular topic you want to talk about, whether it is like homelessness, whether it is racism or inter-ethnic relations and so forth. All these come together through this medium or this method in terms of hip hop. But the hip hop is not the only thing that's happening,
Yes.
right? I mean, but it's an important thing to reach out to where the student is, the young generation is, and try to educate them rather than have them come and see it your way. You gotta figure out ways in which you can see it their way and how to help, impart knowledge to them and also learn from the students. I, for instance, in my classes, I always say every semester at the end of the semester, and I have learned a lot from you. you know. So some students will say, "Oh, what is that?" But I mean, that is that is true. I mean, you know, the things that you might have written, you know, I look at it, and you know, I learn all kinds of things, including how students think, which is important for me to figure out better ways to impart knowledge and so forth. And it's a two-way street, this kind of learning process. Yeah. So okay. Brent, you want to say something about the courses you have taken? I mean, which one you have taken? 330, right?
Yes, I've taken 330.
Japanese in Hawaii. Okay.
I've taken 360.
We all took it
Yeah, we all
together.
took it.
Yeah, you
That's
also.
met.
That's
Oh,
how
that's
we
how
met.
you met in 330 or 360?
360.
360. Okay.
Yeah.
So it must be a good course.
Yes.
It is
Great
about
course.
immigration also.
Mhm.
Okay. So we are all immigrants as well, you know, right? So that's an interesting thing. So could you tell us something about, you know, ES 330, Japanese in Hawaii course? I mean, what kind of emphasis there is on, or what emphasis there is in the course Japanese in Hawaii? Does it tell you about Japanese in Hawaii, period, or what else?
I think, well, the course is from basically when Japanese first got here until kind of present time, yeah, till present time where Japanese started getting into politics and, you know, you climbing up the socioeconomic ladder and all those kind of things. So it's basically everything, everything that has to do with Japanese in Hawaii.
You took that course?
Yes.
Yeah. So more on that?
Well, it is about the Japanese in Hawaii, but it's a lot about their struggles and how they had to overcome them while here, because they weren't always socially accepted, just like any other minority. Even if they were at one point like the largest population in Hawaii, they didn't really have a voice. But yeah, it's basically what Brent said. But yeah, it's a lot about their struggles, whether it was in politics or the military or socially, any kind of problems they might have had. It goes into detail about that.
Yeah, also like I was thinking, you have taken that course?
No, I haven't.
No. Again, I'm just using it as an example, of course. If you want to talk about or learn about the Japanese in Hawaii, we cannot just talk about the Japanese because they have been interacting with all kinds of groups, right? And
Yes.
we have like hapa, you know, like part Japanese, part Chinese, part Japanese, part Hawaiian, you know, all kinds, yeah? So what we're talking about then is the interaction of the Japanese as, let's say, an ethnic group with the other ethnic groups in Hawaii and how that relates to the entire social process in Hawaii, which is how people relate to one another and what happens in politics and the economy and so forth, yeah? So these are the kinds of things, and we can do the same thing with the Filipino course, like Ethnic Studies 333, right?
373.
And there is 373 too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the one you took is 373, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, what did you do, or what are you doing there, or what did you do there?
Well, in the course, we looked at the different migrant movements, not only to Hawaii, but how it compares to the continental U.S., that there was different types of migrations at different times and how it brought a different class of people. So not only the working class in Hawaii, but also a middle class in the continental U.S. So.
Yeah. So that's, and so I just want to show in terms of the degree itself, we have like what, 36 credits that a student would take. And then one of them would be Ethnic Studies 101, which is like the core course. And you have taken 101, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So what does it talk about?
Ethnic Studies 101?
Yeah, I mean, just in general.
Okay. Well, it gives you just the basic tools you'll need for any ethnic studies course, you know, how to analyze different, not just cultural groups or ethnic groups, but like you said, the interactions between cultures and ethnicities. So it's really trying to break it to the students. It's usually like that. So with me, I took it well, but I've noticed that teaching it, some students don't take it so well. Yeah, it's kind of, sometimes it can be difficult to take in.
Yeah, it runs against their perceived notions of society and ethnicity and race and class and all that.
Yeah, it challenges everything that they thought they knew.
Right, yeah.
So.
Yeah, so that means like you are learning, or we are imparting to you kind of ways by which we can think critically about issues, topics in history, currently, and so forth. You want to say something about that in terms of critical thinking and so on?
Oh yes, all the ethnic studies classes I've taken thus far have definitely challenged my thinking. Not only challenged it, but have kind of persuaded me in a way to think differently about everything. Just not just certain issues or anything of that matter, but like just everything in general. Like I'm not taking anything at face value anymore. I'm constantly trying to break it down from all angles, any way I could.
Yeah, and actually it's important to note, and I think you must have noticed it also, that people who graduate and want to go and work, you know, are going to an employer. If the employer is akamai, right, smart, he would take or she would take people who are able to think on their feet, think critically, and not like, you know, just regurgitate information. Because the information, you can forget it, but if you can think critically, you can find it again and think it through again, you know, and so forth. So it's a matter of trying to, do you have the skills necessary to analyze something, to be, to look at it and really dissect it and figure out ways of doing things that would be of benefit to the employer as well, but also benefit to you in your everyday life, right? So I think that's you know, important. Also, another thing that's important, and not enough of it, and you know, I've been at the U.S. for a long time, but not enough of it at the UH, and that is like the intellectual. If we're talking about the professor as the intellectual, or the student who is like really, you know, taking knowledge seriously and trying to interact with it and so on. The intellectual, the role of the intellectual is not like to be a cheerleader and okay, you believe in this, okay, you are nice, so on. The role of the intellectual really is to challenge you, and get you kind of not really mad, but almost there in terms of, why are you challenging me? I've been learning this all my life, you know, I've learned it, and now you're telling me something is happening that is not true in what I have learned before. Yeah, so that's the kind of, for instance, Edward Said, and you're familiar with Edward Said, he says that the role of the intellectual really is to make you look deep inside and challenge you and maybe tick you off a little bit, so that you can really figure out what it is that you're learning and what needs to change in terms of your thinking and so forth. Okay, so I just showed the program, Ethnic Studies. For a degree in Ethnic Studies at BA, it's 101, and then you take 12 credits from specific ethnic-specific courses like Chinese, Filipinos. African American experience is very important, because if anybody wants to know the history of the United States without looking at the African American experience, it's hard to really understand the history of the United States without that experience, right? Okay, so those are the kinds of courses that we have. Any other courses that you have taken, Chris or Brent? Yeah, but you're planning on taking more, right?
Yeah, definitely, probably your class.
I've taken tons of classes.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So, and all these, as you said, helped you.
Yes.
Yeah. So you proceed after graduation with confidence, right?
Always. Always.
Okay, so I just wanted to show that. And anyway, we have here the other things like certificate program in ethnic studies. These are the same courses, but in the certificate you take, what, 18 credits
Less.
instead of 36, etc. Okay, so let's do that. Now, you folks are into something, I see it on your T-shirts. Ethnic Studies Student Association.
Yes.
So, tell us about that.
That's
About the association.
okay. Well, ESSA was formed this semester. It's a new RIO to UH Manoa. We have 5 board members, so that's me, Brent, Chris, Leilani, and Tamara, who aren't here. But pretty much Professor Labrador came up to us last semester at the very end and asked us if we wanted to put a student association together. And we were all on board.
Yeah.
So we just kind of jumped into it and started
How come
planning
did you
stuff.
jump into it? I mean,
Well,
We kind of jumped in blind.
yeah, we didn't know
we
what to
didn't-
expect.
Yeah, we didn't even know what kind of club it was going to be. All we knew was the name, the Ethnic Studies Student Association.
Yeah.
Even if all of us weren't ethnic studies majors or certificates, really, we kind of don't know how Dr. Labrador picked us. But we're kind of glad he did.
Yeah.
We didn't really know each other before then, except for like me and Brent. But other than that, he kind of just threw us together, some way, somehow, and but it worked out. So it's been good.
Yeah. So do you want to say something about the association? I don't know, Brent.
Well, our association has been very active. Last week we held 2 concerts, one on Friday and one on Saturday, both Filipino American hip hop artists, and that was great. We got exposure, and we kind of felt more into the group, knowing that we're heading in a direction that's like a positive direction, and it's great.
Yeah, and any other? You've been having other kind of activities, right?
Yes, we have.
Yeah. So you want to say something about that, Jasmine?
Well, in February, we volunteered for the Hawaii Plantation Village. They have an annual spring festival, so we were pounding mochi there.
Yes.
It was a great experience. We didn't even know anything like that exists until Dr. Labrador had offered it to us. And then you had invited us to the ACL Youth Fair. So we did that as well, which was also an interesting experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, I have photos here, if we can show those, about the mochi. Okay, who's in the picture here?
That's
Tamara.
Tamara.
Tamara Probst, yeah.
Yes.
And so, who's the other guy?
That's
That's the group that we had helped there.
Oh, I see
Yeah.
the people who.
It's their
okay.
company, they
Yeah.
make mochi, and then when
Okay.
we went there, we helped them make
Right,
it.
right, yeah.
what you actually ended up doing.
Yeah. Okay, so what did this mochi experience tell you? I mean,
Oh,
what
I
did
could
you
probably
learn?
I could
Yeah.
probably talk a little bit about that, just because
You're the
I had one of the
pounding
big
most.
mallets in my hand, and I
There you are.
I personally
Yeah, there you are.
I-
Here he is.
I personally didn't know how difficult pounding mochi is.
Yeah.
We also had one of our other members there,
Uh-huh.
Brent, another Brent, not this Brent. He was there as well. He pounded some mochi too, and we were pounding for hours.
It's like pouring concrete or something? Or
No, it's way
It's
harder
even
than
harder,
pouring
yeah,
concrete. But I mean, you kind of you kind of see the result in the end, and you know that each little ball of mochi was made with a lot of love.
Okay,
Lots
here
of
you are, you folks pounding, yeah?
Yes. That was part of the process. You kind of had to knead it first with these little mallets, or these like straight mallet-looking things, and then it came to the hard part where you kind of had to be in sync with each mallet and just keep pounding it until it. I don't even know what they were looking for, but they knew when it was done. And then after like 3 or 4 people would pound it with the big mallets, it would go down. You got to pound it some more with just one person with a mallet, while another person kind of sticks his hand underneath and flips the mochi over while you're pounding.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot of coordination.
Yeah.
Really.
That's good. Here's another one, another photo.
It's the action
Right.
shot.
That's action. Like really, you're hitting it. Is the mochi saying something to you?
It's saying that it's not done yet. But it was a lot harder than we thought.
Yeah.
It was fun.
So
It was a good
does it
experience.
teach us about culture? What kind of culture? And
It was the Japanese culture, definitely. I mean, the ones in the picture, the ones who kind of run this business, the mochi pounding business, they're actually really good at it, really fast. But when it came to us, we kind of hit mallets together sometimes. But
Well, the event also had other ethnic groups that was showcasing their culture. So there was like Chinese, Portuguese, Filipino, and it was just all
Koreans,
there
yeah.
at the plantation village.
Yeah. So it took place at the plantation village in
Yes,
Waipahu.
in Waipahu.
Yeah. I was close to the plantation village on Saturday, this past Saturday, yeah. So, oh, okay.
you didn't stop by?
No, because I was late for a function.
I see.
Yeah, but then I remembered you guys, you know, that's how. So here they're doing something with the mochi, like bringing it to...
Yes.
Yeah.
They're making it into those perfect little balls that you see it and know it as.
And then we had to sell it.
Yes.
Oh, you had to sell it too. Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, I was there in spirit.
Oh,
Yes, he was-
okay, that's
he was with
important.
us.
Yeah.
They didn't bring you some back?
No, they're
Oh,
just
he didn't show up,
selfish.
so he didn't.
Selfish.
Yeah. They didn't, yeah.
I actually learned a lot,
Uh-huh.
just not even being there actually, because I'm a Nisei, Nisei, and like Nisei are kind of like fading away from the Japanese traditions and all that. So it's kind of interesting to see them be able to pound mochi and be like real Japanese people when I never done that in my life. So it kind of impacted me a little. I wish I'd been able to go, but it's just
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting.
Well, next time around, the next pounding.
Yep,
Yeah.
a pound away.
Yeah. It's so no. I just wanted to show those photos here. You're selling, I suppose.
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Selling, and these guys are they sampling or are they buying?
They're sampling right now, but they did buy eventually. We just had to explain to them what kind we had, because they had the regular ones, and then there's ones dipped in like sugar or something, and then
Yeah,
a soup,
there's
and
azuki beans.
and then
there's a soup as
and
well.
the zuki beans.
Okay, so I think these are the ones we have. But we have later on other photos. But what I want to do is also talking about the Ethnic Studies Student Association, ESA. I like the name, by the way, ESA. Yeah. Has a, it's catchy. Yes, you want to say something?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I called myself a Nisei. I'm a Yonsei.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the nervousness. My
Yeah.
glasses are fogging now.
Yeah, because
sorry.
I was wondering, I said, whoa.
Yeah, that's not a very good ethnic
He's
studies
in there.
spokesperson right there.
No, but we'll excuse you, your first time on TV, etc.
Yeah.
Because I say, oh, I thought you might be a gosei. But,
Yeah.
but I let it go because I didn't know, I mean, you know, the background. You could be second generation.
Yeah, who knows?
For all I know, yeah, right?
Just
Yeah.
healthy.
Yeah, that's good. So anyway, so you know how to count in Japanese, ich, ni, san, sei. Yeah.
I could go up to like she.
Oh, that's good.
She. Go maybe, yeah.
Yeah, go. Okay.
5
Cool.
Yeah,
fingers.
that's good. So you can count that so you don't make mistakes anymore.
Oh yeah, of course, of course.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
Trace limit
Okay.
to 5.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So that's wonderful. Anyway, what we want to do is talk more about ESSA. I thought you were going to say something about
Yeah,
ESSA.
it was, but my glasses started to fog up.
Okay.
I was serious when my glasses started to fog up.
Yeah. So I have interviewed a couple of students. Tamra Probst, she's in the photos, in fact, that we have shown. And she talks a little bit, like for half a minute, about herself and ESSA and all that. So we'll watch that, and then we go back on set and talk more about ESSA.
My original major was sociology, and I took a couple ethnic studies courses, so I fell into it. Definitely, ethnic studies gives you an opportunity to work with the community, so that aspect was really awesome because as a sociology major, you don't really see that. So working in the community that's why I'm an ethnic studies major.
Yeah, so she's saying like she fell into it, something like you have. Should we still have people fall into it, or should we do more things to have like people work, take ethnic studies courses? And where does ESSA fit in this regard? I mean, in terms of trying to introduce students and so forth to ethnic studies.
ESSA is kind of like our recruiting tool
Okay.
to bring other
Yeah.
people and get them going into ethnic studies. And like I said, I became a member, and now I feel like, being a certificate or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's also good to like have students talk to one another, right? Student to
Yes.
student is very important. I want to say something about we have some of our majors that go to classes and talk about ethnic studies also, and we have gotten students who majored in ethnic studies declared their major because of those kinds of visitation. When they hear it from me, it's different than from hearing it from you folks,
Yes.
And so these experiences are really very important, So anyway, I want to go to this other event, because there's a photo here on the laptop about the SELU event that we had a while back. Like, when was it? 3 weeks ago or something? Yeah. Could you say something about the event? You were there, and you were there,
Yes.
and you were there, and there were more people. Yeah.
It was good. It was a good experience for
Uh-huh.
us, just because we didn't really know what to expect when we got there, and when we just saw a bunch of tables and stuff, we thought we were just gonna be sitting around and kind of trying to bring people to our table, but it wasn't like that at all. I mean, we were able to actually get up and see the other tables, and everybody had something different to offer as it relates to the ACLU, and we made a lot of contacts there, and just because as an ESSA, as an Ethnic Studies Student Association, I think we should be a part of a lot of what went on there, and we want to get other students involved in the community inside of the school and out, and this is one of the ways that we were able to establish certain contacts and hopefully work with them in the future.
Yeah. Any more things you want to say about that particular event, the ACLU?
It was an interesting event. It didn't hurt to have a collectors convention in the back of it as well, but it was cool, and we got to see one of Time's most influential people, I think, that spoke.
Yeah.
So that was really
the
interesting.
ACLU. It was the 45th anniversary of the
yeah, that's
ACLU, actually. And you want to say more about
Well, what was
your
interesting
experiences? Yeah.
was that most of us didn't even know anything like that exists, and I feel like ethnic studies has really introduced us to a lot of different ways to like educate ourselves, not only in the classroom but outside. So that fair was a really, really great way to communicate with other organizers. So it was
Yeah,
fun.
there were people from Local 5, the union, they had a table. And in fact, we have an ethnic studies major who, well, she just graduated last semester, or the semester before last. Now she's working for Local 5 as an organizer. So that's an interesting thing. And then Lauren, who was also at the table, she was a major, not in ethnic studies, but
Sociology,
UH
right?
sociology, but she's connecting with ethnic studies quite a bit, actually. Yeah, in fact, we have a program with Local 5, a service learning program. Anyone has taken a service learning? Did you take service
Yes,
learning?
I did.
Could you say something about that since we are on the topic and it came up?
Well, I was first introduced to service learning through Ula Hasiger, and it was good. Like first, she kind of introduced the Mānoaʻs Ahupua'a program, which is where you kind of go to these different sites and work and learn at the same time. But she also allowed some of us to kind of do other things that she had to approve first, of course, but they were all part of this service learning where you go out into the community and do the service in order to learn. And it was a good experience because it's a semester-long thing, and you try and bring in all of the skills that you learn so far as in like doing the research and stuff and observation and putting all that together and trying to make a
Which
final
course was
semester.
that? Was it the...
Well, I had to do it for a few courses.
Oh, a few courses, okay.
Last semester.
Because we have, like for instance, in land tenure and use change in
That's
Hawaii,
the one that
ES
I had to do.
340,
I had to do that in that
where
class.
we connect with communities, Hawaiian communities primarily, and work in fish ponds, ahupua'a, all kinds of lo'i, all
Yes.
kinds. And this is important to relate the things that you learn in class to the actual conditions out there, and vice versa, learn from out there, bring to the class, and enrich your learning experience. The discovery of knowledge in this way is enriched. Did you have
I've actually never done service learning,
never
but
done.
it's always been offered within the course,
Yeah.
but I usually took the research
the
project.
research? Yeah, yeah. Also, like service learning, you do research. It's a
Yes.
different thing. It depends upon that option is there for the students. Yeah, I remember when I was teaching courses like Hawaii and the Pacific. There's always this option for service learning in the community. It's interesting. Have you taken service learning yet?
I always chose to do the 10-page paper instead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, we have a number of programs, and it came up here when we're talking about Local 5 and service learning, like Monisha Dasgupta, who's a professor at Ethnic Studies. She has that kind of relationship with Local 5. And, we have that service learning component with Local 5. So anyway, Ethnic Studies does that, the relationship between the community and the classroom, and the student. Very important. Not too many, I don't know of any other unit on campus, in fact, that does this. Like community colleges do that better and more than, at UH Mānoa, etc. What I want to do is, I also interviewed Leilani Pierce. She's also a member of ESSA, and Tamara also a member of ESSA, but Leilani Pierce, and she talks about things related to ethnic studies and ESSA. We'll watch.
Well, I grew up here in Mililani and graduated high school, Milani High School, and this is my 4th year now. So I'm actually a science major, biochemistry, but I'm working on a certificate in ethnic studies, which will be done after this semester. As 2 separate fields, they're very different because science is very factual. You kind of just learn foundations and stuff like that. And ethnic studies, though, is more like learning about the history and relating it to how things are the way they are now. And so definitely ethnic studies, as far as how it connects to my science stuff, is it's shaped how I feel about myself and how I view the rest of the world and how I interact with people. So someday I'm going to apply that, hopefully if I become a doctor, I'm applying that to my profession. So it doesn't have a direct interaction in science exactly, but it's definitely plays a part in how I'm going to practice science and how I'm going to conduct myself.
Yeah, I mean, this is similar to the question I asked you about nursing and ethnic studies, and she sees, a relationship right there, because if you are a health practitioner, for instance, you're dealing with a diverse community and population and so forth. So, knowing things, something, or at least about different ethnic groups, etc., would help. In that regard. In fact, the graduate in ethnic studies who is working in Local 5 now says, I wish I had taken the Filipino course. And the reason for that is simple, because, majority of people, workers in Local 5 are Filipinos. So, yeah. But she's doing very well. I mean, she catches on very quickly. So, I just wanted to say that. I want to go to another piece, Tamra, when I interviewed Tamra also. And she talks a little bit before, about a minute, about lab leading. Yeah. And so we've talked about lab leading, then we'll see what she has to say, and then we talk more about it maybe. Yeah.
So lab leading is pretty much leading a discussion in class. They go to lecture Mondays and Wednesdays for my class, and then Fridays we have a discussion about whatever the topic is. Today we talked about the mehele. They actually had a quiz today. So I actually live on campus, so I see my students everywhere. The relationship between a lab leader and students is pretty much just peer teaching and discussion, and I mean, whatever I teach them, I learn just as much from them too. So it's definitely a good program. As far as a professor, student interaction is pretty flowing, it's pretty open. So I don't know, I learn a lot, definitely, from my students and from my professor.
Yeah, so she has this experience. I don't know. I think this is the first or second time she's doing that. But this is a good kind of experience, as we talked. You want to say more about that?
Sure. I mean, being a lab leader I think it'll be good even for the future, because it gives you these set of skills that you're gonna need in the real world. It'll probably look good on a resume, just because you gotta stand in front of a class week after week, and you have to carry yourself as a leader. You're teaching these students, and they're trusting you with their knowledge that they're receiving, and trusting that they're getting the knowledge that they need to pass the class. And you also gotta be able to answer questions outside of class. Students need help. You're not always going to have the teacher's help. So it's a good program, just because you get the skills you need for the real world, and you'll be able to be a better leader. You can also be a better follower too, just because someone's above you always.
Yeah. Do you know of anyone who's done peer teaching aside from lab leading, for instance, Camille? Camille, she's doing a freshman seminar. Do you have any idea about the freshman seminar? Okay. You have
Not
the freshman
really.
seminar. Okay, this is another opportunity for our majors or people in ethnic studies students to really be responsible for 10 students twice a week, Tuesday, Thursday, for an hour, 15 minutes. And they teach freshman students about 101, Ethnic Studies 101.
Yes.
Yeah? So this is like more intense. I think like what you might consider is after this lab leading experience, I mean, you're gonna be graduating, but you know, you folks,
Yes.
to really go for the 101. And we had wonderful experiences with our major in 101. Of course, there would be a supervisor, you know, a professor supervising the 3 sections of 101 that are run by 3 students, 10 students each, and weekly meetings and all that. But this is an interesting experience, really important experience for building, you know, character, building more knowledge and leadership skills and all that. So I highly recommend it for, to you folks. Yeah. So it's something that very important. And the more we have people like you willing to lead that, the more sections we can have, and the more freshman students would be having that experience, learning from their own peers. You know, so that is a very important thing that I think you know, you could think about. Okay, and you both, you two gonna come to see me later on, right?
Yeah. Of course. Of course.
So we'll talk more about that. Yeah. So I want to go to another segment from the interview with Leilani Pierce, and she is talking about the ES classes she took, so to have like more variety in terms of the discussion on classes as well. It's about a minute, 10 seconds or so. We'll watch that. We'll come.
Well, I took, you know, the intro class 101, and from there, just actually to do like regular graduation requirement, I took ethnic literature, the 380 with Fujikani, and that kind of like sparked me to like want to take a lot of other ethnic studies classes. So I've taken like immigration, Filipinos in Hawaii, taking that Phil Lam one out with Professor Labrador, and I don't know, I've also taken a lot. I've done Native Americans, Asian women, and definitely learned a lot about how things are shaped in America. Like taking like Native Americans or taking Filipinos, you definitely see how stereotypes or like how people view different minority groups, how that came about and how things have been misunderstood. So definitely like opened your eyes to the way society's been structured and how people interact. So definitely it gave a good historical context, but it definitely opens perspectives more too. So.
This is another experience in the sense of, okay, what do you take in these kinds of classes? But another thing, if you notice, she took a course that's cross-listed, I think, English, the English ethnic literature of Hawaii. And so actually it's English, and ethnic studies course. And I just, has anyone taken a cross-listed course? You haven't yet. It would be a good experience because we have courses cross-listed with a lot of, with several departments. We have with women's studies, with English, with anthropology, sociology, American studies, you know. So these are important courses that we, you learn more about ethnicity, and sometimes we teach those courses. One of our faculty would be teaching this. At other times, a faculty from the other department in which we are cross-listed with. What I want to do now is go to the interview with Tamara, and she talks about ESSA, and Kaho'olawe. Okay, and we'll talk more about that.
I am one of the board members on the ESSA Club, Ethnic Studies Student Association, and pretty much what it is, it's open communication with the faculty and the students. It's for any student, doesn't have to be an ethnic studies major or certificate. It's kind of, ethnic studies department is our history, our way. So it's a chance for students to raise questions, issues that they're interested in about, and it's, as ESSA, it's our responsibility to help see that through, to help them whatever idea comes up. No idea is a bad idea. One thing about the ethnic studies department, I was actually able to go to Kaho'olawe. I'm actually going this spring break as well, and that probably wouldn't have happened for me if I wasn't in the department. So that in itself is a reward. Student association, I think it's just awesome when young people get together and try to change what is going on. Trying to have a voice is very important, especially as a college student. So.
Yeah, I mean, she's saying things that we have talked about, but I wanted to say that she also went to Kaho'olawe. This is one of the activities that we do also at Ethnic Studies through the Hawaiians course. And you don't have to be a student in the Hawaiians course to go. You can go if you are in any other course. I want to go to one other, for Leilani. I interviewed, so we'll play a little bit of that because we're running out of time, and then we'll come back to the set. Okay, we go.
Well, we had a good turnout for first semester. So with the board members, there's 5 of us. There's about 22 or 23 people altogether, and there's still people who are showing interest in it. So hopefully it turns into a great thing after the semester. But no, tons of people are out here. Like you mentioned, it's not just ethnic studies majors, and there's a wide variety, from freshmen to seniors. So people who are already graduating and people who still have a long ways to go. So we have a wide variety of people, and we have a lot of ideas and things we want to get into. So we actually just did the Pamantasan conference. That was today. We are trying to spread more awareness about ethnic studies at UH, because we feel like a president's not as greatly known as we would love it to be. So.
Okay, so just she talked about Pamantasan, and you talked about that too, but we didn't name it. So you want to say what is this Pamantasan and some of the activities that we talked about, but just related to Pamantasan.
It was kind of a week-long event. So it was with the lectures that we had from the Filipino American MCs that came, and then we had a concert on campus as well before the conferences, and then to kick that off for the actual concerts outside of UH.
Yeah, and then they talked a lot about ethnic studies, or mentioned that ethnic studies quite a bit. Any other kind of comments on those kinds of activities before we go?
Kind of have some thank yous to some people.
Yeah.
Just thank you to Mark from Go Getters to taking our pictures. Thank you to Prolific for making our shirts, and a shout out to Ala Park Board Shop.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for doing it. We're flat out of time, and thanks to our viewers. See you next month. Mahalo, and good night.